I used to love the silence of the countryside, the way the wind moved through the trees, the way the barn door creaked when no one touched it. It used to make me feel safe, like the world had paused just long enough for me to breathe. Now, that same sound makes my chest tighten, because every time that barn door moves, I remember him. Not my husband. Him. The man who wasn't supposed to be there. The man who came when Jack was gone. The man who looked at me like I was still someone worth seeing. It didn't start as anything, just two people passing through the same quiet days. But when you've been invisible long enough, being seen feels like salvation. Jack was always working, always gone. And when he was home, he wasn't really here. His body, maybe, but not his eyes, not his voice, not the part of him I married. I stopped dancing in the kitchen. I stopped laughing at my own jokes. I stopped looking at myself in the mirror because I didn't recognize who I'd become. Tired, faded, forgotten. So when he showed up, with hands that fixed what had been broken for months, with eyes that noticed the smallest things, I felt it. That shift. That ache. That soft, dangerous warmth. I didn't cheat because I stopped loving my husband. I cheated because I stopped feeling loved. So, if you've ever been the one who stayed, the one who held it all together, the one who smiled when you were breaking, then maybe, just maybe, you'll understand. And if you do, subscribe to Heartfelt Tales Unfold, because the truths we bury are often the ones we need to tell the most. And that's where the story begins. I'm 33. I live on a farm that's quieter than most people could stand. Miles of open land, grass that hums when the wind cuts through it, and a barn that's been empty since Jack's dad passed. It creaks at night, groans when it rains. I used to find comfort in it, like it was holding something ancient, something sacred. Now, it just feels like it's watching me. Jack's 38. We met when I was barely 20. He had a steadiness to him back then, hands that knew how to build things, fix things, make me feel like I was the center of something solid. He used to touch me like I was the only soft thing in his hard, working world. But the years wore that down. Work pulled him away, one trip at a time. Supply runs that turned into overnight stays. Then weekends. Then sometimes whole weeks. He'd call. He always did, but the sound of his voice over the phone started to feel like static. Present, but distant. Like he was checking in because he had to, not because he missed me. And when he was home, he was tired. Tired in a way that made his eyes heavy and his touch mechanical. Quick hugs. Quick dinners. Quick sleep. I stopped asking for more. I stopped expecting more. Because asking felt like nagging. And I didn't want to be another weight he carried. Ella is 6. She's sharp, always asking questions, always needing something. Tom is 4, still clumsy, still clinging to me like I'm his anchor. And I love them. I do. But they fill my days in a way that drains me. They fill the time, not the space. It's the kind of tired that doesn't go away with sleep. It's the kind that settles in your bones. The kind that makes you go through motions while your heart drifts somewhere else. I cook. I clean. I feed chickens, patch fences, bandage scrapes, soothe nightmares. I fold laundry that never ends. I scrub dishes while staring out a window that always shows the same thing: fields, sky, quiet. I don't remember the last time someone touched my face like it mattered. I don't remember the last time I felt anything that wasn't about someone else. The barn had been empty for years. A hollow space filled with dust, tools no one used anymore, and echoes. Until he showed up. And from that moment, the quiet started to sound different. Jack was leaving again. 10 days this time. Supply run out past the county line, something about picking up parts for the irrigation system and loading feed for the winter months. He packed early. Didn't say much. Just moved through the house like a man checking things off a list. He kissed the kids goodbye, hugged me like he was closing a door. Then he left. I watched his truck disappear down the gravel road, the dust hanging in the air long after he was gone. I'd gotten used to him leaving. That wasn't new. But something about this time felt heavier. Not dangerous. Just different. The kind of weight you don't understand until it's already settled on your chest. The first night without him, the house felt louder than usual. The floor creaked more. The fridge hummed like it was trying to say something. The wind hit the barn hard, making that old door moan. And then, the knock. It was just past noon. The sun was high, and I was elbow-deep in bread dough. The kids were drawing dinosaurs on the floor, and the knock made all three of us freeze. We don't get visitors out here. Not unless something's wrong. I wiped my hands on a towel and opened the door slow. He stood there like he belonged. Tall, broad-shouldered. Dirt on his boots. A duffel bag slung over one shoulder. He didn't smile. Just nodded once and said, "Jack said I could stay here a while. Work on the barn. Help with the fencing." I blinked. I didn't recognize him at first. Not really. Just a vague familiarity, like a face you've seen once at a barbecue years ago but never spoke to. "Caleb," he said. And then I remembered. Jack's old friend from high school. They worked on a few harvest crews together. Hadn't seen him in years. I should have called Jack to confirm. I should have asked more questions. But instead, I looked at the barn, then back at him, and said, "The barn's still standing. If you don't mind dust." He nodded again. Said, "Dust I can handle." He didn't bring much. Just a bag and a tired look in his eyes. I showed him where the spare key to the barn was, pointed out the bathroom on the side, and told him where the tools were kept. We didn't talk much. But even in silence, he took up space. Not in a loud way. Not in a threatening way. He just shifted the air. Like the room wasn't as hollow anymore. That night, I couldn't sleep. The kids were fine. The chores were done. The stars were bright. But I lay there thinking about a stranger sleeping in our barn. About how Jack never mentioned it. About how I didn't say no. I told myself it was fine. That I was being dramatic. That it was just an extra set of hands around the place. But deep down, I knew. I should have said no. But something in me was already tired of silence. I told myself to keep a distance. I wasn't naive. I knew what it would look like, my husband gone, a man sleeping in the barn. People talk in towns smaller than ours. I didn't want to give anyone a reason. So I kept it simple. Brought him food. Left it by the door. A plate in the morning. A plate at dusk. Never lingered. Never stayed to chat. Didn't ask how he slept. Didn't ask why he looked so tired. Didn't ask where he'd been all these years. But Caleb, he noticed things. He didn't say much, but he listened. You can feel when someone's paying attention. The kind of attention that doesn't need words. He fixed the latch on the chicken coop without being asked. Hammered down the warped plank on the front porch. Found the leak in the shed roof before I even mentioned it. And every time he did something like that, I'd feel it. That little pull in my chest. That voice inside that said, Jack would have waited until it broke completely. I hated that thought. Felt disloyal even thinking it. But it kept coming back, quiet and steady. I tried not to look at him. Not directly. But I started to notice things anyway. The way he moved without sound. The way he never filled space he wasn't invited into. The way his hands were always busy, like silence made him uncomfortable too. One morning, it rained. A hard, cold kind of rain that smelled like iron and dirt. I'd run outside to grab clothes off the line, and by the time I got back in, I was soaked. My hair was dripping, sticking to my neck. I didn't think anything of it, until I caught him looking, just for a second. His eyes flicked up when I passed by the kitchen window with a basket of half-wet clothes in my arms, and I felt something twist in me. Not because he looked, but because I cared that he did. Why did I care if he noticed my hair was still damp from the rain? Why did my stomach flip like that? It's nothing, I told myself. Just kindness. Just being seen. I hadn't realized how long it had been since someone really looked at me. Later that day, I was at the sink, washing the dishes from lunch. The kids were napping. The house was quiet except for the soft clink of plates and the steady drip of the faucet. Without thinking, I started humming. Just an old tune my mother used to sing. Something soft, something slow. And I felt it. A presence. I glanced out the window. And there he was, walking past the house, hands in his pockets, eyes lifted just enough to catch mine. He smiled. Not wide, not suggestive. Just warm, gentle. A smile that said, I hear you. And that was the moment I realized something had changed. Not out there. In me. The rain came down hard that night. Not a drizzle. Not something soft or romantic. It came fast, loud, like the sky was trying to split open. The kind of storm that makes everything shake. Thunder rolling low, wind tearing through the fields, barn doors slamming against their hinges. I was in the pantry, stacking jars when the lights flickered once, twice, then died. Total black. The kids stirred upstairs. I heard Ella call my name. I told her it was fine, that the lights would come back, that storms just do this sometimes. My voice sounded calm, but my hands were shaking. I lit a few candles. Checked the flashlight. The kitchen window fogged from the sudden cold pressing in. Then a knock, quick, urgent, not like the first time. I opened the back door and Caleb was standing there, soaked through, shirt clinging to his skin. Water dripping from his hair, hands full of the tarp I'd forgotten to pull over the feed bins. We've got to move the supplies, he said. Wind's picking up. I nodded before I could think. Grabbed my coat. Followed him out into the dark. The rain stung like needles. We ran, boots slipping in the mud, lifting crates, covering sacks. No words. Just grunts and breath and thunder too loud to hear anything else. At one point, we both reached for the same crate. Our hands touched. It should have meant nothing. But it didn't. His fingers were cold. Rough. And they held mine just long enough to feel it. That pull. That flicker of something neither of us said aloud. We didn't speak on the way back to the house. Didn't need to. The air was heavier now. Not just from the storm. From us. Later that night, once the kids were asleep and the wind had died down, I found him in the barn with a lantern lit and his sleeves rolled up, crouched by the old generator. I told him he didn't have to bother with it. He said, storm like that? You'll need heat if the power stays down. He showed me where the choke was, how to reset the valve. His hands guided mine. Steady. Patient. Our shoulders touched. I laughed when the thing finally sputtered back to life. A real laugh. The kind I hadn't heard from myself in months. It echoed in the rafters, bounced off the wooden beams, and filled the space between us. And when I turned to thank him, I didn't expect it. The kiss. Soft. Barely there. But enough. Enough to make everything stop. It wasn't the kiss that shocked me. It was that I didn't pull away. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. After the kiss, we both stood there, still, breaths shallow, hearts pounding like we'd just run across the fields. I whispered I shouldn't have. He said nothing, just looked at me like I was someone worth holding still for. I stepped back, went inside, locked the door, sat at the kitchen table for hours staring at a candle burning down to nothing. The guilt came first. Then the ache. Then the question I'd been too afraid to say out loud. The next day, I brought him coffee like usual. Same cup. Same walk to the barn. But this time I stayed. He didn't speak right away. Neither did I. Until finally I said it, so quiet, I wasn't even sure I meant for him to hear. I miss being looked at. His eyes lifted slow. I miss being known. Like, when someone sees your face and doesn't just see a wife or a mother, but sees you, all of you. He stepped closer. Not rushed. Not bold. Just present. And said, you deserve more than waiting for a man who forgot how to see you. That broke something open in me. Because I wasn't angry at Jack. Not really. I was just empty. So when Caleb reached for my hand, I didn't pull back. We didn't rush anything. It was slow. Careful. Like neither of us wanted to admit what was happening, but both of us had already surrendered to it. There was no hunger in it. Just release. And sorrow. So much sorrow. Because I knew, even as it was happening, that we were crossing a line we couldn't uncross. The way he held me didn't feel wrong. It felt like remembering who I used to be. And that made it worse. When I woke the next morning, the sun was just rising, casting gold through the bathroom window. I looked in the mirror. My eyes were softer. But my shame was louder. I couldn't pretend. Not anymore. Not to myself. And definitely not to Jack. This wasn't just a moment. It was a crack in everything I thought I could hold together. Don't miss what happens next. Subscribe to Heartfelt Tales Unfold. Because some stories aren't over when the moment ends. They're just beginning. The call came just after noon. I was folding laundry, still trying to feel normal inside my own skin, when Jack's name lit up the screen. I hesitated, then answered. He sounded cheerful, tired, but lighter than usual. Said he finished the run early, made good time, thought he'd surprise me. I'll be home tomorrow morning, he said. Maybe earlier. I swallowed the lump in my throat and said, that's great. He told me he missed me. And I told him the same. When I hung up, my hands were shaking. Caleb was outside, splitting firewood by the barn. His sleeves rolled, sweat on his neck, the same way he'd looked the day he arrived. I watched him through the kitchen window, knowing I wouldn't say goodbye, knowing he wouldn't either. And I was right. By sunset, he was gone. No knock, no note, no sound. Just the barn, standing quiet again. But it didn't feel the same. It felt hollow in a new way, like something had lived there and left its breath behind. I tried to move through the evening like nothing had changed. Made dinner, bathed the kids, cleaned up the toys. But my body wasn't fully there. And Ella saw it. She sat beside me on the couch, leaned her head on my arm, and whispered, "Why are you sad, Mommy?" I didn't answer, just kissed the top of her head and pulled her close. That night, after they were in bed, I sat in the dark and stared out the window. I half hoped Caleb would come back. I half hoped he wouldn't. By morning, Jack was home, covered in road dust, a little thinner, smiling like he was proud of himself. He walked in holding a crumpled bouquet from a roadside stand. Said, "Thought of you." I took the flowers. Said thank you. Smiled like I meant it. But inside, something cracked. He kissed me that night. Slow. Familiar. His hands touched my back, his breath warm on my cheek. And all I could think of was someone else's hands. Pretending is heavier than I thought it would be. It's not just the words you don't say, it's the way you hold your body. The way you smile on cue. The way you nod when he talks about the road, about the trip, about the price of grain, or the way the tires wore down faster than expected. I sit across from Jack at the dinner table and wonder, is this what most marriages become? Two people orbiting the same space, sharing meals, raising children, sleeping side by side, yet missing each other completely? I watch him reach for the salt, scratch his beard, stare at his phone between bites. And I wonder where the betrayal really began. Was it the kiss? The night? Or was it all the things I never said? The nights I swallowed my loneliness. The mornings I didn't ask him to stay. The way I let him drift away without ever grabbing his hand and saying, "I miss you. I need you. I'm fading." Maybe that was the real betrayal. Letting the silence grow so thick that when someone finally looked at me, I let myself be seen. I don't love Caleb. Not really. But I loved what he reminded me of. That I'm still alive. That there's still a woman inside me who wants to be touched gently, spoken to like she matters, looked at like she's more than a fixture in a home. That woman, she came back for a while. And now she's quiet again. I look at Jack differently now. Not with hate. Just with questions. Do I resent him for leaving? Or for making me need someone else in the first place? The guilt moves through me like waves. Some days soft. Some days hard enough to knock me off balance. But if I'm honest, I don't know if I'd undo it, because for the first time in a long time, I felt something real. Something mine. I haven't told him. I don't know if I ever will. Have you ever almost done something? Not to betray, but just to remember you were still here? To feel the weight of a hand on your back. To hear your name said like it matters. To be reminded, just for a moment, that you're more than tired eyes and to-do lists. Would you carry a secret like this, hold it in your chest like a second heartbeat? Would you protect it or let it go and watch everything you've built crack under the truth? I still don't know what I'll do. I still wake up some nights thinking about the quiet in that barn. The warmth of